going down. Tired of myself, tired of this town.
Eminent Waste of Time, presented by CW Motorsports, episode 70. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And Chad is going to be officially retired from
doing the clacky board.
Clacky bits.
I was messing with Doug because
he's getting more and more fancy with it, and I don't like it.
When Doug syncs the audio with the video, he watches for the little arm to come down. I'll show you guys here. Watch. You see the little arm, and it comes down, and then it, when it touches right there, and the noise spikes, he knows that that's where he syncs him up. So I'm messing with it, and I'm going like that. So maybe he'll see it and sync it up, and then we'll look like a bad Chinese translation movie.
This is what I have to work with, folks.
Oh, Godzilla! That's all I can think of.
Yeah, so episode 70.
That's a great way to start the show.
I don't even know what to do.
They gave me sugar today.
Evidently. So, the IXCR banquet was last night, which officially brings an end to the banquet-y season.
Banquet season has come to an end.
Now there's about 30 days, and then we go racing again.
That's about it, yeah. Well, about, what, 35 days or something like that.
Yeah, it's not... Well, yeah, March 2nd and 3rd, basically, depending on what series you're running, which day that'll be. But
those are the first ones, yeah.
We did want to say a big thank you to Kevin Spangler and Barry Miller.
Yep. Both of them gave Eminent Performance shout-outs. Thanks, guys.
We really, really do appreciate it.
Devin Smith said he was going to, but they didn't let him talk to his
yeah, of course. Yeah, conveniently enough. I think it's payback for that cutting comment we made a couple of episodes ago.
That was you.
You made me do it. It's all we, man.
Is that what it is?
There's no separation anymore.
Yeah, whatever.
If you do something stupid, I bear the weight of it, and vice versa.
Okay, you've got the short end of that stick most days, then, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But we've got some positions down here. Looks like Spangler took 9th overall.
Yep.
And let's see who else we've got on here. Barry Miller was in 6th overall. Colin Jean took 5th.
Yep. And
we'll throw the rest of them in there just because we're nice guys. John Barnes, he was 8th, just ahead of Spangler. Ty Phillips took 7th, and then Barry Miller 6th, Colin Jean 5th, John Carter in 4th, Jason Wolford took 3rd, Matt Lithgow in 2nd, and Devin Smith
with the number 1.
Got number 1, but couldn't thank his sponsors. No, seriously, congratulations to all you guys. It's hard to go through a season and pick up, even a top 10 finish.
Yeah.
Let alone to be, somewhere in the top 3, or Devin, took top honors. It's hard to keep a car together and to be consistent about just being able to be there because nothing else came up that was, racing, it's important to us, but it's not life-altering in terms of...
It's not, your family had an emergency, I'm going to skip my family emergency for racing. We all kind of know that.
So, and if you take the overall, you really aren't missing anything. You can't afford to not be there for a race. So, congratulations to all you guys, and not just in this series, but all the series that have finished up now. MWXC, Midwest Side-by-Side, Crossroads. Congratulations to all the top honors out there, and just to everybody who put in a hard-fought season. Maybe you had some bad luck, you missed a race or two, but... you lights out. You had a couple first place finishes or top 5s, and you just weren't there for the overall. Doesn't mean you didn't have a great season. And it's hard. There's a lot of skill and a lot of prep and a ton of luck.
Yes,
that goes into making it all work.
There is. In the 800 class, as we would all expect, Mike Plank took first.
Because there was no one else in the... No.
There was Rob Zadgel.
Yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry, Rob, if I messed it up.
Leave us comments if we're butchering your name.
I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. He'll correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm good with.
Yes.
But he was... I think he got second, because I didn't watch the banquet live last night. I had my daughter's birthday party. So I was watching it early this morning, and I just skipped straight to the side-by-sides. And they cut off the part where they said what place he got. When they'd come back from their break.
Nope, he did get second, and Mike Plank was in first. And again, congratulations to you guys. And we kind of make jokes about Mike running all alone because in some series he almost was.
All but, yeah.
But nobody could touch him either. So.
He was, I mean, he was consistent in running, and his machine,
it's as fast as an 800 could be.
And it was miraculous. That little thing held together through all the beatings that
except for the one time I rode with him. Well, not the one time, because we took first place in a race round 3 last year at MWXC, but I wasn't exactly the same good luck charm during the Heartland Challenge.
No.
We made half a lap.
Steve and I didn't even make that, so.
Why do people let us ride with them? Our track record's not great.
Whatever. We're going anyway.
That's fine.
I like how IXCR does their banquet. They do it up big. They really make it a lot about the racers. Not to say any of the others are bad. I'm just saying I think they go above and beyond and do a really good job with it. I'm wanting to say if it's your first in class or first overall for your groups, you get a set of tires. You win. So that's, I mean...
Yeah, they've got
nice.
The GBC contingency there, so you're making more money per race if you're running all 4 GBCs, but then they've also gotten in with them to, I'm sure they worked some sort of discount deal where IXCR wasn't footing the bill, but still, they put in the time and effort to arrange all that and make sure they took care of the top finishers in each class, and it is neat.
It's nice.
It's a very professional event. I mean, you look at the way they run it, it's top-notch. It's a banquet you can definitely be proud of.
Yeah. It was nice. What else that I like about what they did, I'm not a banquet person, so I wasn't going to sit and watch the whole thing, but they live stream through YouTube the whole banquet, and then it obviously comes up later as a replayable video. But you could, if you couldn't make it to the actual banquet, you could follow the live stream the whole way and watch and see who got first in your class and watch their speeches and everything else. This
nice. Is the first year they've tried that.
I think so.
Which, again, was a great idea. You keep pushing technology forward, and almost everything is live streamed anymore, no matter how inconsequential it is. So
even our trips when we go places, sometimes
even this podcast. Oh wait, no, this isn't.
We
live.
haven't done that yet.
We're talking about it. If you would be interested in that, kind of a brief side trip, and we'll come back. But I'm about to have actual legitimate internet access out here at my house.
The interwebs are coming to Doug's.
Possibly in about a month or so. So if you guys would be interested in some sort of live show, we could probably do a live taping of this, and we'll do the production and put it out later, but maybe we could have a
call in.
People calling in, or whether it's messages on Facebook or whatever, but maybe kind of like the Sponsored Rider podcast where they've got people actually live in as part of the show. Yeah. So if you'd be interested in something like that, let us know.
Definitely. Yep.
Once I have something besides cell phone based internet.
Turtles delivering the internet on their back. That's what you got.
It would be faster, actually. If you could just tape USB sticks to them. But yeah, it was neat that they had taken the time to set it up and live stream it. And I thought it came off really well. They seemed a little nervous, like this is our first year, so if it doesn't go well, don't kill us. But
don't kill the messenger. And they had
it seemed like it went really well.
They had when everyone was eating, they had like videos playing from different races that they'd had that year, and they were nice and well done. And I mean, it all looked good. I was really impressed. It wasn't the world's best production ever, but I mean, for the first run through, they did it right. They did good. So I would like to see more things like that. Not that I would just sit around in my off time and watch banquets, but it's nice to be able to, like I said, I couldn't be there and I couldn't watch it last night or anything, but I was able to check out the side-by-side guys and see what everyone had, how they'd done, and see them up on stage, because these are guys that we hang out with on a fairly regular basis anymore. So it was nice. It was good to be able to see it. Ta-da.
Yeah, no, I'm actually kind of relieved it's over, because the banquet season gets really long. At least it seems to anyways. And now it's, I don't know, I'm in this weird period where it feels like spring is still forever away because it's so stinking cold out.
Yeah.
But I start looking at the schedule, and we just wrapped up banquets. I'm going to be traveling internationally for 11 days, leaving Thursday.
Yep.
I get back, and then it's like 2 weeks, and we're into round one.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to end up missing AXCC round one. It's also IXCR round one.
Yeah.
Going to miss both because I will be overseas again. But then I start looking at that. We've got a camping trip planned for later in March, and I'm mentally doing this checklist of all the things I have to get done. And we just bought a new Winnebago, not new, but new to us.
Yeah.
I haven't even plugged the thing in. Like, I don't know what works on it, what doesn't. I mean, everything seems to work, but I need to give it an actual shakedown. And so I start ticking the days off in the calendar, and I'm like, oh my Lord.
I don't have time. Yeah.
I don't have time for any of this. So in a way, it's kind of nice that all the banquets are done and all that craziness is done, because you got a little breather to get some other odd and end things out of the way.
30 days.
Yeah, and that's it. Speaking of getting things done, you've already hacked up your new helmet.
I have, yes. I drilled holes in my new helmet.
Well,
there's a video out.
Go check that out. But it was the visor. I mean, it's not like you compromised. People are probably thinking you drilled holes in the actual cranium protecting part, which would really compromise its function. But no, it's just the visor, because you made your own roll-off system.
I did. So, well, once again, Doug was right. I ordered a pumper system. We'll go there because he's going to say it if I don't say it.
Because I was right.
Like that. So anyway, I ordered a pumper system, and meaning I needed also a helmet for it, a pumper helmet. I went with the Impact. I can't remember the model number. It's like a 1320 or something like that. But it's the side air one. The air comes in the
left side.
Left side. I was trying to think. It comes in the left side. I did find out where the air blows through and how it's ducted. I'll explain that. I should have brought the helmet and show you guys some stuff, but maybe we'll do that at some point. So the thing, and my biggest problem is I'm not a fan of tear-offs. I know some guys, Devin Smith likes tear-offs.
Sure.
Fine. That's what he likes.
To each their own.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of tear-offs for the simple fact that you can, and I think everyone who's ever run tear-offs will admit to having done this, you go to grab one, and instead you get all, and you have just pulled off every bit of clear vision for your future, and there it went.
The other thing I don't like about them is you're going into what you know is going to be a really muddy mess of a race, and you're stacking them up. Every one you put on there restricts your vision until you take it back off again. So if you're trying to put like 15 tear-offs on there, you kind of have blurry, crappy vision until you get down the stack a little bit.
So I don't know what the maximum number of tear-offs is. I think it all depends on the helmet and the posts that are on it and how thick the tear-offs are and all that. I don't have enough experience with tear-offs to tell you how many, but I'm wanting to say like the maximum you can get on there is around 15, maybe 20, something like that. The magical thing about those roll-offs, there is 50 pulls of the string, so one pull of the string is equal to tearing off one tear-off.
Yeah.
It moves it over enough to completely clear your vision. There's 50 pulls, so I get like twice to 3 times as many.
And, I mean, there's plus and minuses either way. I mean, people will tell you that, you know, tear-offs, if the film flips up over, there's basically a plastic piece.
You mean a roll-off?
Or roll-off, sorry. Yes. There's a plastic piece that goes across the top. That
keeps mud and wind guard. Yep.
It keeps mud from getting behind them, and it keeps the wind from pulling them off your face. Because if you don't have that, you'll just have a streamer behind you because the wind will take them.
Right.
But if you do get mud behind them, you're pretty much done.
Right.
I mean, there's not much you can do at that point because every pull is just going to keep smearing the mud that's behind there. So there's pluses and minuses, but I'm with you. I've tried both. I really like the roll-off system.
Yeah, I prefer that. But anyway, all this was to say, there are very, very few companies that make a roll-off system for a full-faced visored helmet.
Mud Bunchers is probably the premier name out there.
Right. Red Raven is, I believe, the other one. I'm wanting to say it's Red Raven. Anyway, they make one. Neither are cheap. No, neither are cheap. The Mud Munchers I know are $500.
Yeah.
And the viewing window is a smaller viewing window than the wider 50 millimeter roll-off canisters that you can get. So I was not going to buy a $500 Mud Muncher setup. I just wasn't. There's no way. That's ridiculous. That's the price of a helmet.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, why can't I attach the pins that mount the roll-off canisters for the goggles to the visor? Drilled and cut holes in the visor, attach the pins, put the canister on. I mean, I did measuring and all that before, so I knew that it would work, or figured it would work. Still taking a chance, I suppose. But I got it attached on there. I think it's going to work great. I mean,
like most of our inventions we've done, it remains to be seen, but at this point, I don't see why it won't work well either.
Yeah, the only thing I have to make yet is I have plastic coming for the mud and wind guard like Doug and I were talking about, because instead of leaving them at the normal goggle width, which is really not any wider than your eyes, I wrapped it all the way around the helmet to give me about 30% more viewing width out of it. So the plastic mud and wind guard that was on the goggles won't work because it's too short now to go all the way across. I knew I was doing that, though. I just had to order material in, and I'll make my own. They really aren't complex. It's 2 pieces of plastic is all it is.
True.
So
it's going to be an interesting setup. I really want to see how it works.
We've had requests for Doug to throw mud at me.
I was going to say, I really want to do that. You stand outside, and I'll just throw mud at you, and we'll see how it works.
Yeah.
Be like, what is it, is it North Face? Or one of the jacket companies where it's like the old lady who, like, encases her husband in ice and, then writes on the clipboard and gives him the thumbs up.
Yeah.
It'll be like that.
Sure. No, I'm excited. I think it'll work just fine. All in for this modification, I'm wanting to say you'll be about $75 or $80 and a couple hours of your time, or a couple hours of someone's time.
Yeah. And it's not that bad of a modification. I mean, most of you guys, if you're doing work on your UTVs, this is just a different type of handiwork, but
it is. You just got to have a steady hand and be a stickler for measurements, because that really matters here.
Calipers will help.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can get a set of calipers for nothing anymore.
Yeah, like $15 or something.
Used to be a really expensive tool to have.
Right.
And now they're, run out of Harbor Freight, $15. And
the cheap set will work just, but you don't want to get the plastic set. Get a metal set. But
yeah.
I have a really nice set that my previous work gave me. They were a few $100s, but they gave them to me.
They gave them to me the day I left. No,
and they just wrote out in my bag.
That's weird.
How that is. No, I think the roll-off system will work great. If you guys are interested in something like that, I can do a walkthrough, a how-to on that. Let us know, because I know there's a lot of racers out there, and I don't know if you're good with your tear-offs. I got no problem with anybody using their tear-offs if they're happy with them. They're just not for me. They're not my favorite. I see a gaping hole in them is what I would want them to do. So that's for me. But yeah, if you guys are interested in something like that and seeing how it's done, I actually ordered a second visor for mine, and I have no problem cutting into that second visor and doing the same thing, because even if the tear-off system or the roll-off system isn't on there, you don't even see the pins because they're way over in your peripheral vision.
Sure.
So,
well, we did want to give a shout out. What was the company you bought that from, the helmet?
That was Quicksaw Racing.
So they did not actually have the original helmet you wanted in stock.
Right.
And the one you ended up with is, about $100 more?
Yes, they treated me very fair. So the guys there at Quicksaw Racing, Troy, I want to say it's Baker. Sorry, Troy, I can't remember if there was an R in your last name. But Troy, he gave me his cell phone number. I called him. We worked it all out. He treated me very fair. If you guys are needing helmets, they make other parts too, all kinds of racing parts. They're out in California.
Yeah.
But look them up. They treated me real well.
They took very, very good care of us. And honestly, we want to give them a shout out here on the show for that very reason.
Yeah. So
I don't want to say it's rare to find stand-up guys in the racing industry, because that's not true, but
it's nice too.
They went above and beyond. I mean, they could have just said, well, I'm sorry, it's not in stock, and, it is what it is.
Here's your other options.
Or here's a, 10% discount on a different helmet or something.
Right.
They went above and beyond.
Yep. They really took care of me. And so thanks, guys out there at Quicksaw.
Absolutely.
You can find them, I think it's just Quicksaw, KWIKSAW, racing.com.
And that was the rugged prepped helmet, correct?
Yes, it came pre-wired. I could have pulled my stuff out of my old helmet and transferred it over, but that helmet's got 3 years of racing on it now and 3 years of rugged
and it's missing
radio
the visor.
Stuff. Yeah, well, I mean the helmet, but I mean the actual rugged radio internals. With with the speakers and the mic boom and all that stuff. It's like it's $100.
They can only take so many race abuse sessions and then pressure washings afterwards.
Yeah, and it worked great. I mean, it still worked fine. It wasn't a problem, but for the extra little bit of money, I'm like, let's just get all fresh new stuff.
Yeah, don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, so I went ahead and went with the full prepped helmet.
Well, speaking of that, I figured we kind of bring in the tip of the week a little early this week because it was music while you ride.
It is.
Preferences, different ways to do that, and, you know, since we're talking about helmets with pre-wired audio, that's one of the ways is you can have your rugged radio set up, and through the rugged radio's intercom, you can pipe in music. You could do it a couple ways. You could direct wire it from your phone if you really wanted to.
Yep.
If you have something like Polaris, the full ride command setup where they have music and, you know, whatever else you want built in there, you could direct wire it. You could do it through Bluetooth. It's got just a headphone jack, like a 3.5 millimeter input jack on the rugged.
Yeah.
So you could take one of these little Bluetooth adapters that cost 10 or 15 bucks, and you could do it via Bluetooth if you wanted to.
Yep.
There's all sorts of way to pump it in through the rugged setup if you want to go that route. And if you don't think that the helmet speakers are going to work real well for you, they have a second cable coming out that you can use earbuds instead of the speakers that are in the helmet.
Yeah.
So if you would rather have earbuds or something kind of sound isolating in your head before you put your helmet on, you could do that too.
Right. So, yeah, like Doug was saying, there's several ways to get that. While we're on the topic of helmets and earbuds, I'm going to list the pluses and minuses of both. I personally like earbuds quite a bit, but I won't use them for really any UTV, although I like them. Mm-hmm. There's just the drawbacks are too large for me to overcome. So the speakers in the rugged helmets are not really what we'll call audiophile speakers. They're so you can hear someone talking to you and you can hear the music. They're not great quality speakers as far as the sound is amazing. So
yeah, they're designed primarily around voice communications,
right?
And so they're kind of EQ'd for the speaking portion of the sound spectrum.
Yeah, the sound spectrum range. So I use those, even though I said I like earbuds, because of the simple fact, if we roll up on someone at the track and they're trying to direct us around or telling us something or yelling something at us, if I have sound isolating earbuds, which that's the only way I would do it, in my ears, I don't hear what they said at all.
Sure.
And if something goes wrong in the system, and we've had it happen, Doug and I have had it happen in a race, Steve and I have had it happen in a race where we got water, it was my fault. I hit a creek really fast, and the water just enveloped us.
It was everywhere. And then we got this kind of high-pitched humming whine in our ears because a couple connections had gotten wet.
Right.
And it was crazy annoying.
So all we could do at that point was just shut the intercom off and talk loud to each other, like nearly yell. Well, if you have sound isolating earbuds in, like molded ones like what I would wear, you can't hear, because then they're inside the helmet and you can't get them out because you can't take your helmet off to pull them, and you can't pull them while your helmet's on.
Right.
So then you are extremely handicapped and you have lost all communication with your driver or co-driver, depending what you're doing.
Especially if they have a Barry Miller style exhaust.
Yes. Good luck. So that's why I won't use them in race scenario. I don't mind as much using them in a ride, like a trail ride scenario, because nothing is as important, if you kind of get what I'm saying. There's no time thing you have to worry about. You're not racing anyone else, but it does take longer to get them out to hear what someone else is saying. So it's not ideal. The other option for audio is external, like external to a helmet, external to earbuds, which would be like wakeboard tower speakers or a big sound bar or something like that across your cage. And
if you're racing, that's probably not going to work for you.
Not going to be good.
Now, if you're just out riding or anything else, that's a pretty popular option.
Yeah. I am, and I know this is, I like music and I listen to music all the time. I am not a fan of the Wake Tower speakers or the soundbar option because you are just flooding noise out into everywhere.
That's because that has nothing to do with your music, though. That is because everyone around you, if they're doing the same thing, you're hearing 5 songs at the same time.
And most of them are crap.
You're not a music bigot, are you?
There's styles that I don't like. Let's go there. How's that? That was politically correct.
That was. I'm very impressed with you.
Yes.
There's a future for you yet.
Maybe. We hope. So I just don't like that. And if you guys have ever been to a big ride where there's lots of people around and stuff like that, and we're talking thousands of buggies, and everyone is just blaring music out into nothingness, out into the open world.
Kind of had that experience when I did the Southern Mud Riders, the St. Jude event.
Yeah.
At times, there was a lot of music.
Yeah. And the problem is, it's not like it's all the same song with the same beats. They're all different, and it's all just mixing into this collage of poo that not good. So I am not a fan of that.
I'm going to take a little bit different tack. I actually didn't mind it. I found that even when other people were listening with the sound bar right there, I really didn't notice too much what they were doing. It was nice to be able just to jump in and out of the buggy without unhooking.
That is completely where it has its benefits.
And if you're like, say, mud riding, where it's basically a slow crawling party, like you go through a mud hole and then you drive at a decent pace to the next mud hole and then you sit for another half hour.
Yeah.
You just jump out, you crank the tunes up, and boom. So, yeah, it's definitely for a different style of riding.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
I agree. I mean, I'm just not a fan of just pumping music out into nothing. I just don't. It's not for me. But I get what you're saying, and that is where the sound bars and Wake Tower speakers definitely outshine the... even like the earphone options, I have a set of those.
Yeah,
sitting over there that you can listen to music through and stuff like that. That's where the sound bars and the Wake Tower speakers are miles above, because when you're done, you shut the key off or whatever and it stops, and when you get in, you turn it on. It's just there. I don't have to put the earphones on or put my helmet on or put the earbuds in or whatever. And
since a lot of guys aren't riding with helmets, because you can make the argument you should always have a helmet on if you're in a UTV, but the reality of the situation is, in slow-paced stuff like mud riding or trail riding, that kind of stuff, helmets are just not terribly common, really, outside of the racing scene where you have to have one.
Except in parks that require them.
Right. But a lot of people specifically don't go riding in parks that require them. It's
I get it. I mean,
it's just a different scene.
I get it, because those same parks that require them for a UTV don't require them for Jeeps, which just have a roll cage above them.
Yeah.
Same thing.
There's no inherent safety benefit to being in a Jeep versus a UTV.
And I'm not saying I'm an advocate against helmets either. I'm just saying these are the facts of what it is. So
you've got a lot of different options out there. Probably I don't want to say the worst one is using your phone, but going on a UTV is like going on a boat. Don't take anything you're not prepared to lose. So you probably want to have a music setup that involves a cheap MP3 player or something relatively disposable, one of these, $80 Android tablets, something that you're not going to cry about if it gets destroyed. If you got a brand new $1,000 iPhone X and it ends up dead,
in the drink,
you're probably going to be pretty unhappy with that setup.
As for me and what I control music with when I do listen to it, I have a tablet, an Android tablet. It is a cheap one that I load navigation stuff on. We can go through that at some point if someone wants to know, or maybe we'll make that one of our tips. But it also has Spotify. I just check the little... I'm a subscriber to the Spotify service. I check the little box to download all of this playlist and this playlist, which has hundreds and hundreds of songs, like hours and hours or days of music. And I stream straight from that. If that tablet gets chucked out or goes in the water, it's a $50 tablet.
Yeah.
I mean,
no harm, no foul.
Is it $50 that I just lost? Yes, I completely get that. And it's real money, and I understand that. But it's better than $1,000 cell phone, and it's better than even like some of the tablets that some
like
people
if you're
sell.
using an iPad or something, and or
some of the tablets that people sell,
the navigation
tablets, ones, and I'm not going to list the people out, but they're $500, $600, $800.
They can get salty. Yeah,
that's $50 is a lot cheaper. I can buy a whole lot of them, and the chances of me destroying them, and I haven't had a problem yet. I don't even have it in a case, which I might want to put it in a case, but I don't even have it in a case, and I've never had it get wet or hurt or anything. So
I mean, it really, you can't hardly go wrong with it, and you don't need to have the latest greatest.
No,
I mean, you don't need to. Oh well, this one's not running Android 9, the latest one, or
right.
As long as it'll play music and do the basics, it can be a couple years old, cheap, and it doesn't really matter.
Yep. All mine really runs is navigation and Spotify, and that's it. I think I had at one point loaded Facebook on it to do a live stream, but don't care that much.
Yeah. So there you go. Music options aplenty.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to do it. If you guys want something, you can talk to CW Motorsports. They sell new parts. We always talk about the used stuff and that they do engines and transmissions and all that stuff, but they are a full service off-road shop just like any place, and they can get you sound bars, they can get you stuff like that. If you guys need rugged radio setups, talk to Kevin Spangler over at Spang's Fab. He's a rugged radio dealer.
Yeah, best way to get it.
He will set you up with some stuff, and yeah, I mean he'll do the intercom systems. He'll get you all hooked up. So there are definitely some sponsors here that have everything covered. If that's what you're looking for, just decide what you want and go with it.
You could even have music in your brand new Honda Talon.
No.
Which side-by-side blog guys finally got to sit in one. Is there a video of that?
There is. They released a video yesterday, which would have been Saturday.
I thought I'd seen that, but I want to make sure I wasn't crazy. In fact, we're going to take a kind of a pause here, and we're going to show you just a snippet of that video. We don't want to steal a bunch of their content, but just kind of give you the quick snippet there. If you want to watch the whole thing, there'll be a link in the final version of the show. Just look in the comments there, and there'll be a link to it. But we'll step away and let you see their kind of quick impressions of it, and we'll be right back with you.
Pretty cool. My first reaction is it's not as big as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
The pictures make it look like it's going to be, just physically really large, and it doesn't look that way in person.
It's about the size of an OG Mav.
And giant rocker switches. So the switches for four-wheel drive are huge. So, if you're going to be using gloves, really easy.
Seating position is super comfortable. Like, visibility is pretty awesome. Like, the hood is not that long, and you can see over it pretty well. These fenders do come up a little bit, so they're a little bit in your way. But
yeah, you can't see the front tires, I feel like, as well as you can see them on the Razor. The visibility's not going to be as good, but...
you definitely feel, I mean, in a Razor, you feel like you're sitting a little bit higher, so you can see, like, everything in front of you. But it's not like X3 where, like, you feel like you're in a limousine style,
It's sort of like in between the X3, and the Razor in terms of seating, but it does look as though there's going to be some opportunity, like, in the exhaust area to maybe open up some power. Put a pipe on this thing.
Looks pretty restricted, man.
Yeah.
Especially the head pipes leading out of the other side.
Right.
And there's an obvious cat right here. Like, what is this?
So they had some interesting thoughts on it.
Yeah.
And some stuff that we really hadn't been able to see before. I think one thing they mentioned, the restrictive exhaust.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I honestly apologize if we didn't get that far into the video. I haven't decided how much of I'm going to put in yet. So maybe we're talking about stuff that we didn't actually put in there yet. But they did mention they didn't like the exhaust setup.
So the passenger side cylinder exit comes around, kind of like the Razor, it comes around the passenger side and towards the back, but it goes all the way around to the driver's side and then turns and comes back, and the exhaust actually exits on the passenger side again. So it does this big S back and forth.
That's a power S. It's for speed.
Yeah, sure it isn't. But they were, and I agree with them. There's power to be had there. So they were looking more like the aftermarket will figure this out.
Sure.
But if they make it like the Razor, where it just comes down the passenger side and then runs over to the driver's side and dumps like an aftermarket exhaust, you can lose some back pressure there, pick up a few horsepower probably. So they were saying that. They all liked the build quality. They said it was very good.
Which is exactly what you'd expect from Honda.
Yeah, I expected nothing less.
They're never going to put anything out there that's just chintzy or flimsy or not well. I don't want to say not well thought out because everyone's got different opinions on engineering, but in terms of just
not well executed.
Yeah, solid, well engineered.
Yeah.
Yes.
So everyone liked the build quality. I
like the big rocker switches comment because if you're driving, you got a gloved hand, especially if you're cold weather and you got like a big snowmobile glove on, you just kind of want to mash a button.
I agree with that. My only issue with the big rockers, so their rockers are probably 20 to 30% larger than what we all know the standard rocker switches to be on the Razor, or like even the standard ones you'd buy at AutoZone or any place like that. But the problem with that is you can't match those with anything. Like you can't go get a rocker that's that big.
But you can buy one from Honda.
You probably can, I would suspect.
Yeah.
But no, how much are they going to charge for that?
If you're going, I mean, there's a whole aftermarket segment of you can get a switch that says literally anything you want on it.
Right. You can have custom
your light bar could say zombie response
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, you're not going to be able to match that easily. And I doubt there's going to be a cottage industry of 30% larger switches for Hondas, but I can see why they did that. They're kind of looking at gloved hands or operating and just being able to just grab and slap it quickly.
I agree. And for that, it's great. I'm just looking at if I'm matching all my switches, which I like to do. I don't like having different style or different design switches in. You can't do that.
True.
So
a couple other things they noted. Visibility was meh. It was okay.
Yeah, they said it was better than the X3, worse than the Razor. So it kind of falls in between there.
Which, if you look at the body lines, that kind of makes sense.
To be expected. They said the front fenders kind of hump up a little bit. If they didn't have that, it might be a little better, but that's the design of it.
And to some people, having the front fenders hump up a little bit may actually help them know where they are. It just depends on... Everyone's different.
One thing that I didn't like, because I never had gotten to really see a close-up of this, but they did look at it and speak about it a fair amount, was on the trailing arm. So the trailing arm on the Honda Talon is reasonably similar to the trailing arm on like the Razor, except instead of it being a big open section where the hub would bolt like on the Razor, it comes down and it's a ball joint to the bottom of the knuckle.
Yeah.
The problem is that is the lowest point of the vehicle, and it's not tucked inside the wheel like the Razor is. So where the Razor actually attaches to the hub and all that stuff, and where the control arms are actually tucked in behind the profile of the wheel. Where on the Honda Talon, it's not. It sits external of the wheel and is the lowest point. So if you drive up next to a rock, you are bashing that ball joint on the rock.
Yeah, that's one thing we'd actually been kind of wondering about since we saw the very early production photos where we weren't sure if it was even going to be the Talon. I mean, there's some speculation, and then when they finally released the Talon, they showed very close-up shots of that, and several people said, I'm not so sure how that's going to hold up.
Well, and so imagine the end of this. If you guys haven't seen it, maybe we'll try and find a picture and throw it in. If not, I'm going to describe it anyway. So you guys have seen the end of like the Polaris Razor's control arms, the front lower A arms, how where the ball joint is out there at the end, there's only maybe a 1/4 inch of metal right there.
Yeah.
But that 1/4 inch of metal is tucked internal to the wheel profile, so it's protected.
Right.
Well, on this is not. So that 1/4 inch of metal is sitting exposed and will hit rocks and will get beat up. My question is, how many hits is it going to take before it stretches that circle that holds a ball joint into an egg shape and all of a sudden it now pukes the ball joint out?
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
bad.
Or any other number of failure modes that could happen from smashing that thing on a rock and ruining your day.
I'm still not sure about the whole virtual 5-link or whatever they're calling it. I don't know.
4.5 link, yeah.
4-link plus is I think what they're calling it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure on that. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I do not like that ball joint on that control arm and the way they did not protect it. Not a fan of that at all.
Sometimes people look at design and say, nobody's done this. We've outsmarted them. We'll give it a try. Sometimes nobody's done it because it's just not a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's thought of that and has passed on it. Again, time's going to tell on this one. We haven't seen one racing yet. And honestly,
I haven't even seen one on the trails.
No, a lot of what we talk about is racing, because that's a lot of sharp, quick abuse.
Yeah.
And so it makes me nervous from that standpoint. But even, again, you're out on the trail, you hit one of those rocky sections, you have to navigate.
Your tire slides off, and all of a sudden, all the weight of the machine slides off and drives right onto that ball joint retaining part.
It doesn't make me feel good as somebody who understands engineering principles fairly well. But, again, could be totally wrong. We just need to see it in action. But
it just makes me question it.
It doesn't inspire confidence, at least from looks.
And so when I say that's the lowest part of the machine, I'm not joking. It is probably 8 inches off of the ground.
It's definitely the low point.
Very much the lowest part. The other thing that they were kind of not thrilled with, and I would have to agree, I didn't know the size of the tires. I'm wanting to say they're 25-inch tires. Maybe they're 26s.
I think they're 26s.
Whatever
I could be wrong.
Whatever size
but they're not.
Even if they're 27s or 28s, the problem is they're on 15-inch wheels, so it's a very low profiled sidewall.
It looks
tending it to pinch flats.
Sporty, but that's not what you want off road.
No, it's tending it to pinch flats. I get this overwhelming feeling when I look at this thing and I see their design flaws that we pointed out here. They've designed it for the desert.
Perceived design flaws.
What I'm calling design flaws. That they've designed it for the desert. When you get it out here on the East Coast in some of the rocks and the mountains and stuff like that, it's like they didn't think about that, or that wasn't important to them.
I'll agree. It looks like a wide open spaces machine.
Yeah. The other thing, and I don't know, I saw this before the Side-by-Side Blog Guys video, but the other thing I don't like, and I really wish they would have done this, and I don't know, the only reason I can think why they didn't was it's easier to do it the way they did it. The paddles for the paddle shifter are mounted to the column, not the wheel. So when you're turning, you can't get back without releasing and coming back to flip it.
Sure.
So if you're driving like this, the upshift, I believe, is on your right, and the downshift is on your left. I'm pretty sure that's how Honda did it.
If you've got the wheel if you got your hands on the wheel and you turn it 90 degrees, your hands are now 90 degrees off of the shifter.
You can't shift up or down without releasing a hand.
True.
And if you go so that's what I don't like. If they would have taken and all they are is electrical connections on this. It's not. There's no hydraulic lines. There's nothing that would take anything amazing.
So if they would have put a clock spring in it.
A clock spring and move those controls to the wheel itself, the paddles stay right with the steering wheel. So if you go this way, you still have the paddle right there. If you go this way, the paddle's still there. It depends which way you're going. The other thing I'm not thrilled about, and I understand why they didn't do it with the paddles, is the paddles are... it's one is up, one is down, whichever way it is. I can't remember now.
Sure.
But you can't... It's not like up is pull in and downshift is push. They're a one-way paddle.
Right.
I would rather have both two ways. So if especially since it's not mounted to the steering wheel, but if my one hand was within reach of the paddle and I needed to upshift, I could push it forward and upshift. And if this hand's clear of where the paddle reaches, it just seems like they cheapened out a little bit there. I get why it costs money to do this.
Yeah, and honestly, from that standpoint, I would almost rather have, since the paddles are mounted the way they are, I would almost rather have, like, the best equivalent in the automotive world be the auto stick, where you pull it down a gate and you can slap it back or forth, because then at least you've got a free hand. It's always right there. If you need to crank the wheel over and just slap the stick, you can.
Right.
I almost think if you were going to run it in a manual mode, I would rather have that than paddles the way they've done them on this, personally.
If they would have... I don't mind the single way paddles if they had mounted them to the steering wheel.
Right.
If they're going to leave them where they are, they should have made them dual way, up and downshift for each. They just didn't do that right. I'm not saying it's a bad machine. There are just several things.
Go back to 3 on the tree.
No. That was a horrible... Stick shift on the column was a bad idea too. But anyway,
my dad used to have an old, I can't remember what year it was, but let's say it was like a 74 Ford Fairlane.
Yeah.
And it had 3 on the tree. And he was driving it home one day, and the collar broke, and the shifter just came out in his hand. So he's like just holding it, no way to shift the car. So he drove the rest of the way home. He jammed it back in there and was able to clamp it shut with his other hand. So he's got two hands on the shifter, and he's steering with his knee and using, with his right knee, and then with his left leg, he's on the clutch. And so he's driving in this convoluted fashion to get the stupid thing home.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Back to the Talon. I'm not saying it's a bad machine, and maybe they'll fix this in newer models. I just think it's almost like they didn't involve someone who knows anything. They just involved the car engineer.
Yeah, it's tough to say why they made some of the design decisions they did. And that's probably, I'm with you, that's probably the biggest thing that bugs me. I mean, I can deal with a lot of it, but when you're taking your hands away from the shifters, when you're rotating the wheel, I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest of all the things I've seen that I'm not crazy about, and all the things I've seen that I, really, really like. That's probably the biggest glaring thing to me.
I don't like the biggest thing to me is that trailing arm with that ball joint.
Yeah.
That's bigger to me than the shifter. I don't like the shifter.
I'm looking at it from a drivability standpoint, like operating the vehicle. From a durability standpoint of will this hold up, that's probably a larger issue. But
that's just my opinion. I mean, take it for what it is and what
we'll
you paid
see.
for
I mean,
it.
I still would really like to see one. There's certain things you just can kind of envision in your head. This is going to be an issue.
Right. And whatever. A lot of people are like, whoa, they brought something better than Textron brought when they brought the XX.
I would hardly disagree with that.
Yeah. So, one more thing. It's been put on social media 1,500 times, and I'm sure it's like this elephant in the room. Textron is going away from, their name is going away from the off-road as far as the side-by-sides and stuff. They're going back to using Arctic Cat. I knew about that at least 2 or 3 weeks before they actually announced it. They announced it last week or the week before, whatever it was. I knew about it 2 weeks probably at least before that. But I'd been sworn to secrecy, so we weren't going to say anything. I'm just bringing the news for those that didn't know that Arctic Cat is coming back.
Look at us, insiders. Yes.
Yeah. So there's a couple reasons why they could have done this. One, Textron, the name, doesn't really have any history in the off-road world.
No, it doesn't mean anything to anybody.
Right. Arctic Cat, a lot of people know. Now, a lot of people think Arctic Cat kind of has a tarnished name because of some of the Wildcat shortcomings, the old one.
Yeah.
But is it easier to rebuild a name or to start from the ground up with a new name and make it a good known brand?
Well, it's almost always better to stick with a name I mean, anybody who's anybody in the industry is going to know that the XX is a totally different machine.
It is, yes.
And so I don't think the name from the past kind of plays into that. Whereas, like you said, Textron's just a name nobody recognizes. Ford actually went through this with the Taurus. The Taurus was a nameplate, is a staple for them,
for
a largely
years.
Boring but reliable car that they made.
The bubbly ones, you guys remember from the 90s?
Oh, the horror! Yeah, the horror of those. Actually, that's what the cop cars were in the RoboCop. Was the first gen Taurus, because it was the most futuristic car out there at the time.
Right, bubbly headlights and whatnot. So anyway, going on.
But they, for a while, they dabbled with bringing back the 500 nameplate. Well, not a lot of people remember the 500 nameplate other than muscle car enthusiasts.
And they weren't.
And so they.
No offense, the Ford 500 from the 60s, 70s, whenever they weren't amazing cars. They weren't the fastest in the world. They weren't the flashiest in the world. It's not like a GTO Judge, or it wasn't a Camaro, or it wasn't a Corvette.
Well, and for a while, the Fairlane, the Galaxy, the 500 were all effectively the same car.
Right, different
so
badging.
It kind of got lost in the mix. So they decided to bring back the 500, which was basically the next gen Taurus.
Right.
They sold it for 2 years and then realized nobody understands the nameplate or the history. They went back to calling it the Taurus again before they finally just nixed it all together.
Right.
But the name made a huge difference in sales. Literally selling the same exact car with Taurus attached to it up their sales by whatever percentage.
Yeah, it was a fair percentage. I remember. I can't remember what it was, but anyway.
So brand name and recognition does play into it.
It does. So, yeah, I just wanted to say we do know that. In case you guys hadn't heard, Arctic Cat is going to be whenever, I don't know if it's for the 2020 year or whenever they do it, but will be the off-road for the side-by-side division and the four-wheelers and stuff.
Well, the other news out of that camp is their decision to
partner
rebrand their UTV. Well, not the XX, but their utility, UTVs.
So
they're kind of doing what GM did in the 80s. We're going to make a bunch of the same car, but they're going to have different names.
So you guys may not know this because I don't think it's been public released yet, but the Tracker boat people, which are owned by Bass Pro Shops, are going in with Textron, and they're going to have side-by-sides that are built by Textron but branded as Tracker Off-Road.
Yes.
So
they'll probably have a lot of camo on the movie.
Minus the XX.
Yes.
So that one is not included in this. So it's like the Havoc and the Stampede. And I think that's it. Well, there's a golf cart too. One of their golf carts is.
Yeah, I found that rather curious, but yes, there is a golf cart in the mix as well.
But anyway, some stuff like that. They're more utility / just touring around your property ones. They're not. Yeah. They're not what I would call heavy enthusiast off-road machines or sport machines. So they're doing that. Is it something that's going to be earth-shattering? I don't think so.
It's just an interesting decision.
It's an interesting decision to me.
I'm not sure what it nets them.
For Textron, other than more sales, but I can see why Tracker wants to do it because Tracker is still a very it's not singly owned, but it still feels like, the one guy still owns the Bass Pro Shops label, and it's a very family tight-knit type feel. And in this, they're kind of getting we have our own brand of off-road vehicles now.
Yeah, it seems like a better deal for them than Textron. I don't really think Textron gets like you said, they get more sales, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how many sales are going to get from what's going to be perceived as an off-brand.
Yeah. It's just an interesting decision. That's why we're bringing it to you. It's UTV news, so we're going to throw it out there, but yeah,
It just struck me. Whatever. I don't think it's going to change anything in the world. It's not going to make any difference whatsoever.
It's not going to put you in contention for King of the Hammers, which starts on the 1st.
Yep. It's coming up February 1st. It's real soon.
How do you like that segue?
That was interesting.
Ba-boom. So if you're
like hitting a brick wall.
If you can't hit can't hit, thanks. If you can't wait the extra 30 days for race season to start, well,
King of the Hammers.
King of the Hammers coming up.
Several people are going out there. I know Kyle Cheney's got a new car set up to go out there.
Yep.
It looks sharp.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It looks really nice. Kyle, if you listen to this, good job, man. You hit that one out of the park.
A little bit of envy about that.
Yeah.
Usually I look at cars and, okay, that's pretty cool. This one's legit.
It looks real nice.
Yeah.
So he's going out there. So several guys that we know or we chat with on Facebook, they're going out there. I think it would be a ton of fun to go to.
If I wasn't leaving the country at that point, it'd probably have to be a break-in trip for the Winnebago.
Oh, if I had more time to get everything sorted out and we didn't have a busy race year already, and maybe that's what we plan for 2019 is just to hit King of Hammers.
That's not a bad plan. Well, 2020.
Or 2020. Yeah, sorry.
The years are a blur.
Yeah.
I love your optimism that people are going to put up with us for another year and we'll still be doing this.
Maybe we'll still be doing the show. Maybe not, but that doesn't stop me from going out to the King of the Hammers.
That's true. Either way.
So, no, King of the Hammers looks like a ton of fun. That's kind of one of those true tests of the machine. That's an abuser one, I think, more than anything. Like we've talked about, we did the Heartland Challenge last year. We showed up and wrecked, but we were there for the Heartland Challenge.
All that counts.
And then we're going back there again this year. That kind of race is more mental, I'll say, than like an actual can the machine withstand it. I mean, it is hard on the machines because you're racing them for 4 hours.
It is, but you start to lose just a little bit of focus. I mean, Jason Hatcher was doing really, really well.
He was like 10 minutes from finishing.
He was 10 minutes from finishing. He lost focus just a little bit, clipped the tree, tore the front wheel off, and that's how he finished or didn't finish, if you want to look at it that way. And it literally was just he'd been running for a long time. He was mentally tired. He was running the race by himself. He wasn't switching out with his co-driver.
Right.
And that momentary lapse of focus.
I was watching a guy pre-run King of Hammers. Can't even remember the name of the obstacle now. It's got a name. But anyway, he was driving a full-size Turbo S down it on like 35s probably. And the drop is steeper than the drop is longer than the Razor is long.
Sure.
So when it drops off, you have to land on the front tires in four-wheel drive and gas it to drive the front end out from under you.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys haven't seen footage from it last year. There's some great footage. There's one guy, I think it was an X3, broke down at the bottom of one of the drop-offs and no one could get around him. Another guy just ramps over him.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So there's some interesting footage of that stuff, but I would like to get out there to King of the Hammers. I've never been that far out west. I would like to do some riding out there. Not necessarily in the race at all. I would ride along.
I've been out that far. You would love it.
Oh,
I mean, I've been out west several times, and I'm telling you, you'll wonder why you live here.
I have a standing invitation with some guys out there that not to stay there with them, but I mean that they'll take us out riding. It may have to make that work. I think if we can incorporate King of the Hammers in with meeting up with those guys,
that'd be awesome.
I'd do it.
I'm telling you, dude, the Winnebago is going to have a lot of miles on it.
I'm down. Poor fuel. We're just going to go through a lot of it.
I think it's like 8 miles of the gallon.
We put a lot on my truck in the last year.
That's true. It's time for Trivial Bits.
It is. We are time for trivia. Clear off notifications, blah, blah, blah.
No one's ever accused me of my phone being here and cheating, but I'm still...
Nope. Doug has never cheated on trivia. I will give him that. He never even I got to look at something, and he's never done that. Whether he gets them right or whether he gets them wrong, it's all based on his own knowledge or lack thereof.
You don't learn unless you admit you don't know.
Okay. Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
Question number 1. How many deaths in the U.S. are... Yes, we start out with a death one. I know. I thought
every time.
It's what I'm good at. How many deaths in the U.S. are attributed to medical errors per year? Now, I'm going to kind of say there's a swath, and I picked the high side because this is as high as, because basically if there's an error, they don't know if the disease, we'll say someone had a disease, the disease could have killed them even if they did everything right, but there was an error, in the procedure or the diagnosis or the whatever. So I'm going to preface it with that just to give you as fair of a chance as possible. So how many deaths?
That should have been enough time for me to think of an answer. Per year? Mm-hmm. United States or worldwide?
U.S.
I don't want to get in trouble with any doctors out there, but I never go to the doctor, so what do I care? I'll go like 5,000 a year.
98,000.
I'll go like 5,000 a year. Thinking, surely not. Surely you jest. This is why I don't go to the doctor.
They'll kill you.
They will kill you. They'll kill you dead.
Then I just thought of something. Not going to tell that story again. I think I've already told that one. All right. Question number 2. What is the likelihood of CPR working outside of a hospital environment? So you walk up on someone and they're not breathing or they have no heartbeat and you're going to perform CPR.
Oh, like by percentage?
Yeah, by a percentage. So, basically, CPR, you're going to try and do it outside of a hospital environment where that's a trained professional. What is the likelihood, the chances, the percentage that it'll work?
It's like 8 or 9%.
You're close, 7.
Yeah, I knew year to year they change that a little bit, but I think when I was taking those classes regular, because I used to be a union electrician. Yeah. And you have to be CPR and first aid certified, because that way basically everybody on the job site should be able to respond. Mm-hmm. And I think they said it was 8 or 9. They're not, we're not going to lie to you. Yeah. But it's better than 0.
Right. I'll take an 8 or 9% chance of living over 100% chance of death.
The only thing I told guys was there's these little one-way breath masks, so you don't actually have to put your face on their face. I'm like, if I don't have one of those, you're dead. I'm just warning you.
Okay. All right. Question number 3. The Eiffel Tower in Paris
that one. Okay.
Yeah, this suppose all the other ones we got around, was originally supposed to be erected where?
Oh.
So obviously wasn't in Paris.
Marseille?
Barcelona, Spain. But
really?
Spain thought it was ugly and didn't want it. And actually, the architects in France also said that they did not like it and thought it was ugly, but they went ahead and took it anyway, and they've since grown to love it. So.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, other than the Victory Arch, like, there's really nothing more iconic than the Eiffel Tower.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of monuments aren't all that attractive.
Well,
and this is going to sound really unpatriotic, but like as a sculpture, the Statue of Liberty is not particularly attractive.
It was a gift from France.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's not like I wouldn't want one in my lawn to look at every day. It's a symbol of our country, and it's awesome for that. But like, just as a piece of art, it's not like, ooh.
Well, so like like you're talking about the arch in France or something like that. That is neat. The Eiffel Tower is literally like an erector set.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not pretty. So
no, it's just a bunch of bolted together steel.
I get that. Okay. Moving on. Question number 4. How many pounds of coffee does Brazil export per year?
A lot.
Yes. More than
pounds. 1.8 million pounds.
4.4 billion tons. Or billion pounds, sorry.
Okay, I was like,
No.
Whoa.
4.4 billion pounds.
That's a lot of coffee.
Yes.
How do you even grow that much? That's insane. That's not that's just Brazil. I mean, think about California grows coffee in spots.
They probably grow that much because they use Colombia's export. You're up all night.
Yes, that's true. Maybe it's just like one layer of coffee on top and everything. Okay, anyways. Moving on.
Coca leaves. Okay, question number 5. The Ring of Fire in the Pacific Ocean. It's of all the volcanoes around there.
Yeah.
Not what you get after eating Taco Bell. How many active volcanoes are in the Ring of Fire?
I'd have no idea because it extends underwater and there are underwater volcanoes.
And these are just active ones.
Right.
Also. So,
1,200.
328.
Okay.
So not that many. I think total active ones in the world right now is like 574, I think it was. Something like that.
I guess I'm praying for more destruction.
Right.
More volcanoes. That's what this world needs.
More fire shooting holes.
Why not?
Yeah. All right. Question number 6. What is the longest time between births of twins? So like a set of twins, one is born, and then, normally it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Number trivia with Chad. Let's say we had twins born 4 days apart.
87 days.
What? No.
87 days apart.
That's insane.
That's nuts. I don't know the whole backstory on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that one up.
Okay.
Maybe I'll be sad I did.
Probably
the internet
will.
is a terrifying place.
Yes, it is. Question number 7. Why was the first webcam created and where? If you get either one right, I'll give you the question.
In Germany to inspect beer production.
Nope. It was created at Cambridge University, and it was to watch a coffee pot to see if there was coffee made or not, so people didn't walk over there and stand there and wait for coffee to be made.
I'm calling BS on that. Your trivia's been wrong before. I'm calling BS on that one.
Think what you want, sir. You can look it up.
I will.
Okay. Question number 8. When you... I spelled that wrong. Yeah. That's what I was like, what in the world does that say? When you are not using your tongue to talk or to eat or to do anything, where does it rest against, the top or bottom of your mouth naturally? Now you're thinking about where your tongue is.
Naturally, I think it rests against the top.
You are correct. It does rest against the top. So, very good. You had a 50-50 chance.
The reason I probably know that more than most people is well, we talked about this on podcasts from a while ago. I got braces late in life because that's what you do when you're in your late 30s.
No, I
my
don't.
top teeth were really like, you're supposed to have this nice kind of arch. Mm-hmm. Mine were all pushed in like this.
Oh, okay.
So my tongue had nowhere to be. And so a lot of times when I would sleep, I would wear on my tongue because it would want to go up there and it would constantly rub on my molars and it had no place to go.
Gotcha.
So part of the whole process was shoving the teeth out so my tongue had a place to go.
Yep.
So that's probably the only reason I know that, because I remember the pain.
Good enough. But yes, your tongue does naturally rest against the roof of your mouth, not the bottom.
Now everyone's going,
I can hold it down there, but it doesn't feel right. No. Okay. Question number 9. What is the most valuable company in the world's history? Like, it was worth the most at its highest point.
corrected for time, or
not
is it
not
just doesn't
corrected.
matter? Okay.
Not corrected for like time or the value of money at the time or anything like that. Just straight value. The straight currency of the days.
I'm not sure. I mean, Amazon's is worth the most right now, and Apple has the most market capitalization. I don't know. I'll go with Amazon.
No, it's actually the Dutch East Indian Company, and they were from the 17th century. They were a conglomerate company is actually what they were, but it's like a parent company that owned several smaller. They were worth 8 times as much as Apple is worth today.
That's insane.
I guess like basically they took over that whole European, Eastern European, all of that over there, and that's why they were so big. Like they were over several countries, and they were into everything because they were conglomerate companies.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And that was before a lot of, antitrust stuff and, anti-monopoly and international regulation, cutting stuff up. Like if you could make money and you could provide it,
that was good enough.
Go. Yeah.
Okay. Since it's not super cold out right now, but it's going to be like 0 degrees for the high later this week, I threw this one in there. Question number 10. What is the coldest recorded temperature on the Earth?
I'll go negative 118 degrees.
You weren't far off. Negative 138 Fahrenheit, which is negative 94.7 Celsius, and it was in the Antarctic desert in 2010.
That sounds like a party.
Negative 138.
Dude, at that temperature, if you went outside and took a deep breath, your lungs would just go...
Yeah, you die.
Yeah.
You're just dead.
Sounds
You're not
like
living.
fun. Well, if this podcast hasn't killed you,
yeah,
you're welcome. We do want to say a thank you to our sponsors. Of course, our title sponsor, CW Motorsports. We've also got Spangs Fab on board.
Yep.
And
TGM Off-Road.
Wanted to...
Well, okay, not yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to be producing another video. Recently, we kind of did a video about our trip to get the bumpers, but we're going to throw another one out fairly short that just kind of give you a little more technical. Again, we're not going to take like a half hour of your time and show you every turn of the bolt, but at least give you an idea of where they mount up, and we'll have a more technical video for people who do have questions about how to mount stuff like that.
Right.
And again, the Spangs Fab stuff is just super quality.
Yep. Good, nice, stout stuff. I have no fear of ramming trees.
No. Watch Communications, thank you so much for hosting the podcast and our website. You can find them on the web at watchcom.net, and the code is still good. Waste of time, all lower space. Lower space. Is that a thing? No. All lowercase with no spaces.
Maybe lower space is where like you're in low orbit.
Is that like an underscore? I don't know.
Whatever.
That will get you 1 month of free hosting for your website related to whatever it is your website's related to.
If you hold shift space, is that an upper or lowercase space?
I don't think either.
Lower space.
Lower space. And of course, TGM Off-Road as well. If you want to find us on the web, you can do so at eminentperformance.com. There's also links to all of our sponsors in there in case you need to know where they are. You can find the video version of this mess on YouTube. You can find the audio version on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And if you're into social media in a big way like this guy is, you can find us on either Facebook or Instagram at Eminent Racing.
Yep. And don't forget...
I'm still trying to get Eminent Performance.
We can't.
I'm trying to wrestle it away from this guy that's not using it.
There's a long story of why we have Eminent Racing. That's for another show. But don't forget to like and subscribe, leave us comments, and click the little bell that's down over this way underneath Doug, and that will notify you when we release new videos on YouTube so that you guys can watch those or avoid them, whatever.
And if you're one of the lucky 98,000 people who has not been killed by a doctor this year, thanks for riding along with us.
Thanks, guys.
Tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.